In furtherance of the quest of continuing to bring humanity together within the gnosis of the light of understanding, I present this body of information to you, my dear, esteemed, honored, noble, and notable viewer. In Egypt, there was a spiritual model in the form of a person who had achieved his Buddhahood or Christhood. And to the astute viewer amongst you, you will understand that Christ means the anointed one or enlightened one. Buddhahood, Buddha, same meaning. Buddha means the knowing one, the enlightened one. So in Egypt, there was this spiritual model in the form of a person who had achieved this gnosis, this Christhood, this Buddhahood. And this person did so by using the crook and the flail. And these are spiritual tools, spiritual technologies, methods, methodologies. But in Egypt, the name of the person one aspired to on their path of ascension was not Buddha or Christ, it was Asar, or in Egyptian, Osiris, which was the central figure of the ancient Egyptian religion for thousands of years. And author and Freemason W.L. Wilmshurst writes the following: "The mystery systems have always exhibited an example for the instruction, encouragement, and emulation of those prepared to make the attempt and the necessary sacrifice. To hearten them to the task, the initiatory colleges have held up a prototype in the person of some great soul who has already trodden the same path and emerged triumphant therefrom. In Egypt, the prototype was Osiris, the same equivalent meaning of Christ. It was the aim of every follower of Osiris, of Christ, to live exactly like Osiris, to live exactly like Christ, to become Osiris, to become Christ in every way. Imagine living so pure you become a living Buddha or a living Christ." Rudolf Steiner writes, "Man becomes perfect when he lives as an Osiris." Namaskaram. In this way, the Osiris myth receives its deeper significance. It becomes the example of a man who wishes to awaken the eternal within him. In fact, the ancient Egyptians were so focused on becoming an Osiris, on becoming a Christ in life, that when they died, they buried themselves in his image. So the image of Osiris perfectly coincides with the image that we have of Christ, meaning a bearded man with long hair. In fact, that is how the Egyptians were buried, in that image. So with that in mind, dear, esteemed, honorable, notable aspirant on the path to Buddhahood, to Christhood, to Osirishood, I share the following tale, continuing saga of the cosmic throne of Valtor, the interdimensional inquisitor, an aspirant to Christhood, an aspirant to Osirishood, to Buddhahood. It is all the same on this path of light. The Saga of the Cosmic Throne. Valtor masters the crook and flail of the ancients. Valtor, the interdimensional inquisitor, understood that true spiritual transformation required more than just activation of the Stargate portal and ascension to a higher plane of existence. He knew that to achieve lasting spiritual growth, one must cultivate a deeper understanding of the ancient methods and spiritual technologies employed by the ascendants of the New Earth Golden Age epoch. To conduct his research, Valtor delved into the archives of the Cosmic Throne and the Academy of the Ascendants, studying the wisdom and teachings of past masters who had achieved enlightenment and ascension. He discovered that the key to transforming the lower self into a servant of the higher self lay in cultivating inner stillness and awareness. He learned of ancient meditation practices that allowed one to quiet the mind and access higher states of consciousness, where one could connect with the divine and experience a sense of oneness with all beings. Valtor also explored the use of sacred geometry and other spiritual technologies that had been employed by the ascendants to amplify their spiritual abilities. He learned of the power of sound and vibration and how certain frequencies could be used to balance and harmonize the body, mind, and spirit. He uncovered ancient practices of energy healing and manipulation and how one could use these technologies to clear blockages and balance the flow of energy within the body. He also studied the use of sacred plants and other natural substances to induce altered states of consciousness and deepen one's connection to the divine. Valtor's findings were groundbreaking, and he presented them to the Cosmic Throne and the Academy of the Ascendants as a roadmap for spiritual seekers on their journey towards ascension. He emphasized the importance of cultivating inner stillness and awareness, and the use of ancient methods and spiritual technologies as tools to aid in the transformation of the lower self into a servant of the higher self. Thanks to Valtor's research, the Cosmic Throne and the Academy of the Ascendants were able to develop a comprehensive program of spiritual training and development that drew on the ancient wisdom and teachings of the past masters. This program will become a cornerstone of the New Earth Golden Age epoch and would pave the way for all beings in the universe to achieve true spiritual growth and transformation. See, you can note the ponytail, long hair, much the same image that we are presented to as with the Christ. But keep in mind, this could be equally a Rastafarian-looking person with dreadlocks. But the point with the hair, and I used to, I shaved my head for the longest time, but when I had gone through my ascension and my crown chakra opened, intuitively, it just started growing my hair out. It was a no-brainer. It seemed like a crime to shave my head after undergoing that ascension process when the expansion and opening of my crown chakra and connected to source, to intelligent infinity. All this knowledge, I just began to live with this intuitive knowledge. Knowledge, as Vasamazulu Baba Credo Mutwa pronounces it, knowledge. All this stuff started coming to me. And it was furthermore, it was verified through a video after I had been letting my hair grow out through Sadhguru, where he said that he shared the knowledge of ancient India. He's a master, Sadhguru. If you don't know who that is, I encourage you to look him up. But he said that once this Kundalini activation takes place and the crown chakra and all this, you need to cover that fontanelle, that area up there. And of course, I have a bald spot up there, but that growing the hair out is meant to kind of insulate and protect that because of the energies that's taking place. Go watch the video by Sadhguru. You can look it up. But anyway, but I had already kind of intuitively began to do this process of growing my hair out post Kundalini activation and crown chakra activation. But the way I understand it, this about the hair is, there was information prior to right around when World War II kicked off, and the United States government was working with Navajos, and using their language, the Navajo of Southwest America, Native Americans, using their language for code and to communicate encrypted. So, because it was like no one else was going to know this language from this, tribal group of Navajo. So anyway, but in the course of all that interaction, they realized that there was also other talents that these Native American had in the form of trackers, being able to cut sign and track. And so a lot of these guys went into the army, but they were kind of set to the side to be trackers for some of these like long range reconnaissance units and other types of combat skills. But they demonstrated their tracking abilities and such and their other abilities prior to undergoing Army basic training, which involves when you go through Army basic training, or that they shave your hair off, they shave everything, and because the purpose is to basically strip your individuality from you and put you, you're basically at that point you're being indoctrinated and brainwashed. So anyway, but they found that after they had shaved these trackers, these Navajo tribes people, they had shaved their heads off. Well, they lost a lot of some of their finer skills, their tracking skills and such. And what it was is because the hair actually acts as an antenna. Because if you look into the way that the hair follicles are constructed and whatnot, they're tubes, they're conduits. And so anyway, you see all this ancient knowledge and you see that's a perfect example. I mean, I spent over 20 years in the United States Army, know full well the indoctrination, the brainwashing. I mean, I fought it my entire career. And anyway, but it is what it is. We live and we learn, and sometimes that's not such a bad thing. I'm grateful for the experience I had with the United States Army. I mean, I was a horrible morning person, back in the day, and they broke me of that at 17 years of age. You can bet I was broken of that and learned how to get up and be lickety split where I needed to be. Anyway, lickety split on this ascension path. Hit the subscribe button, leave this video a thumbs up, and stay tuned for further tales of the saga of the cosmic throne.
Namaste. Namaskaram.